Good afternoon. We are recording. All right, folks, welcome back to another Live at 5 with Jane and Jody on this February 8th. We are excited. I'm super excited. I'm looking at the list of participants here. We have a great conversation this afternoon with our financial aid director and a couple other special guests from the financial aid department that are going to either contribute or also be learning with us today. So real quick, before we dive in, just to introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. My name is Jane Voorhees. I'm one of our admissions representatives here, and my job is to help you guys get ready for a successful interview. Once you've submitted your transcripts, you're working on your application, I am here to help you cross that finish line ultimately. I've been at SCNM cumulative total for almost 10 years, as a matter of fact, let's say 9. I worked here from 2007 until 2013, snuck off for a super fun adventure for a little while. But I got to come back in 2019 and have been a part of this admissions team. Truly love what we're creating here at SCNM and happy to help you guys on your journey and your adventure of becoming naturopathic doctors. So a little bit about me, I'll let Jody say hello.
Welcome everybody. So my name is Jody Durham. So I have I'm fortunate to work with Jane both times when she was here. So I'm the other admissions reps. I work with the beginning of the alphabet, but just like Jane, get you guys through the process and get you started and become great naturopathic physicians. I've actually been with SCNM a little over 15 years. So I've seen a lot of students come through the program and become great alumni. So it is definitely very rewarding for the admissions team here. I'm originally came from the mortgage industry, which not sure if you guys know, but it's a very, very stressful business. So this is where my passion is. This is what I love to do. I look forward to coming to work every day. Originally from South Bend, Indiana, moved out here about 20 years ago and absolutely love the desert, love the weather. I mean, today I got short sleeve shirt on and it's like low 80s. So it's wonderful. So welcome. And this will be a great segment. I can't wait to hear what everybody in financial aid has to say and all the information they're going to give you. All right, on that, I always share a core value with everybody, and I just pick one. Core values are beliefs of our institution. So today I picked we do the right thing. SCNM continues to work hard during this time as the pandemic still hangs on by gradually bringing students back on campus slowly while still delivering quality education, whether it is online or on campus, as well as delivering effective patient care. So we definitely do the right thing.
That's a good one. Thanks for sharing, Jody.
Yeah.
I think that actually I like how it ties into today's conversation specifically around financial aid. Like our department is really going to help you guys doing the right thing and managing your finances as you go through this program. So I loved how that ties right in. Real quick, one thing I wanted to mention is I did already mention we are recording. I want to invite you guys, turn on your cameras when the time comes and you've got a question on your mind, please put that in the chat bar or feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt us. We know it's kind of awkward with Zoom these days, but we want to hear from you. We have some questions for our financial aid director to get us going here. But as you have questions that come to mind, please put those in the chat so that we can hear them, we can answer them for you, and other folks might have a similar question that'll help answer their questions. Just a friendly reminder as well, you're invited to turn on your cameras because from time to time I will switch the view and I'll see who all is participating, whose cameras are on. If your camera is turned on, I do a screenshot and later on your name will be entered into a drawing for a fun prize from something here at SCNM. It could be a t-shirt or some money for medicinary, or we've given away water bottles, books. We've got fun things. So turn on your cameras and have fun with us today.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about our financial aid director that's joining us, Miss Ana Borjas. Something that just occurred to me as I listened to Jody and I tell you a little bit about ourselves, and we've had some other careers. This is Ana Borjas' career. She has been your financial aid director, and this is what her life is all about. Even when she was in college, her federal work study position was in the financial aid office. Like, this is what it's been all about for Miss Anna. So we're really excited that you get to meet her today. She's been with SCNM since 2006. And coming on board in 2006, she continued to develop her skills. She obtained her master's degree in 2015. So just continuing to develop and really bring the best quality of services to you guys. So without further ado, Miss Anna, would you like to say hello and introduce your team?
Yeah, hello, welcome everybody. Thank you, Jane, for that wonderful introduction. A little known fact is I get very timid in a public setting. So, you know, every time the admissions team just elaborates on my story, there's a little shyness that comes out. So if you see me turn red, just go with it. But I definitely want to welcome each and every one of you guys later in the day. And so thank you for being here, truly. I know this is a really important topic for a lot of you guys. So hopefully in today's discussion, we can really address your questions, go over any concerns you may have. And I will say this, if there's anything specific you want to discuss, please reach out to us. We are available to you guys. And this way we can really make sure that we're answering your questions and also your concerns, right? Because financial aid money, that's always kind of a stressful moment, a concern. So let's have that chat. So before we go into it, I do want to introduce my lovely team. This would not be possible, although I did this job as a one-office person for a long time. I am happy to now have a team because a lot of work goes into this, and so definitely it's always good to have more than one brain working on all your guys's financial aid. So without further ado, so you will be working with and communicating with as you start this journey with two important people. So Claudia Rangel is the financial aid advisor. She has been with SCNM for a little bit over 2 years. And so you maybe have already connected with Claudia, talked to Claudia, but she is a valuable asset to the department. And so Claudia will be working with students A through L. And then we also have our newest financial aid advisor, Daniel Miller, who just started last week. And so Daniel will be connecting with students M through Z. And so right now, as he's getting started and training is underway, you will see me, you will talk to me as well. And so then eventually things will be all with Daniel. So I thought it was just important for you guys to see these two individuals. Again, you can reach out to any one of us, but they will be the people you will hear from the most, you will see the most. So get comfortable with both of them. They have a lot of knowledge. They're great people. And you know, again, we're really here to help you guys get through this journey from a financial aid perspective. So, all right. So Jane.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. All right, Daniel, say hello so we actually see you come up on the screen.
Oh, he is. Yep, he's there.
Now we want to hear your voice. Yeah, I'm on speaker view, so I need to hear your voice. So you come to my screen and we can record.
Hello.
Found you. All right, don't be shy. Thanks for joining us today. It's great to finally meet you too. I know you're pretty new on board here, so thanks for joining us. Claudia, is Claudia on the call tonight?
Yep, she's right there in the middle.
I am here, Jane. Hello. Hello, everybody.
Thank you both for saying hello. All right, Jody, let's dive in.
Jane put you guys on the spot. Let me just tell you.
That was purposely done. Jane does that. So she could see you, but that was purposely done. Thanks, Jane.
Yep.
No.
All right, Jody, where would you like to start?
Do you want to just go over the packet and then
Sure.
we'll open it up to any questions? But again, like Jane said, everyone, as she's going through this, if there's a question that pops in your head, put it in the chat or just speak out. That is absolutely fine.
Yep,
This is
perfect.
very, very
So
laid back.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do for everybody is I'm going to share my screen momentarily. Just know that Jane and Jody can send this packet to you. So this is our financial aid packet. If you have questions, this is typically what we'll send you to help answer a lot of the questions you may have. But as Jody mentioned, please use the chat, or I'm sure you can unmute and ask a question. And so we'll try to get to all those questions today. If not, then I would encourage you to still submit your question through chat. And then I'll have the admissions team send us those questions and we can help still answer those directly to you, okay?
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
let's go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen momentarily. Give me 1 second. Oh. I don't see my PDF file. All right, let's do this. Probably because I have a lot of windows open. This is what happens throughout my day. Just have everything and anything open. All right, bear with me. I apologize.
I know the feeling.
You're fine.
Okay, here it is. See, it was just I had so many windows open. All right. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and start with scholarships, right? This is kind of the fun part. It's free money. You don't have to do much with scholarships other than just maybe apply or, submit a one-page application so that we can determine whether or not, you would be applicable for a scholarship. So one thing that I'm going to say, because as a first professional student, you're going to hear us talk a lot about student loans. As a first professional student, unfortunately, that's the large source of federal financial aid that you'll be eligible for. So I always start with scholarships, and I'm always going to encourage you all to apply for scholarships, whether it's external or internal. If there is a scholarship that maybe you received through email that you're not sure of, if it's legit or not, send it our way and we can do some research. I've even contacted the organization itself just to make sure that it's legit. And most importantly, that you guys are eligible for that scholarship, okay? So SCNM is a nonprofit organization. We do offer scholarships to incoming and current students. But I will say scholarships are not available to cover your full educational cost. Scholarships are there to assist towards tuition and fees, and reason why we encourage students to apply to as many scholarships as possible. One of the things that we do just to better streamline the process is I work with the development office every year to determine what scholarship opportunities we have available to our students. These will vary every year. So what I'm presenting to you guys is really just a small view of what scholarship opportunities we have and have had, but know that this list can continue to grow. These scholarships are donor-based. And so what that means is as we get donors who say, hey, we would love to provide scholarships to your students, we make sure that, these scholarships, one, they're going to continue year after year, right? We want to keep that relationship with our donors. And most importantly, making sure that they're providing quite a bit of funding for you guys, because again, we share the cost of attendance with our donors. We let them know who you are, and hopefully in hopes that they provide a lot more money. Our scholarships are either merit-based, so we're going to look at your cumulative GPA. Others are essay-based, which means you're going to have to write an essay. Many times it's about 250-word essay that you have to submit. And it's going to pertain to a specific question that the donor wants to know more about. They just want to know your story. And then other scholarships are just kind of more in lines of expected family contributions. So need-based, in other words. So many times what will happen is if you completed a FAFSA, then that's the way that will determine need-based eligibility. And so that will take into account in order to determine whether or not you're a recipient for a scholarship. Someone have a question? Am I hearing something?
Actually, I want to awkward to interrupt. Do we have this packet posted on the website anywhere?
On the website, no. So this is something that I keep sort of in-house because of the several updates that we may have, but this is something that we can disseminate to the students for sure via email.
Great. Carolina, I saw your question there. I'm going to go ahead and email it to you right away. Anybody else that wants it emailed while she's going through it? If you want, you can send me your email address in the chat or send it directly to me and I'll email it to you while we're talking today. Sorry to interrupt.
It's fine. One thing I want to point out is all of our scholarships are applicable to both domestic and international students. So we really try to include everybody. No one is excluded from these scholarships. So again, if you see our emails that there are scholarship opportunities, take advantage of it. And just please make sure that, oh, all right, don't know what's going on there, but okay. Take advantage of it. Please apply. Even if you see that there's a $500 scholarship, that's $500 that will go towards your cost of attendance. And guess what? It's less loan money that you're going to have to take out. Okay, so I'm definitely going to encourage it. External scholarships. So we will notify you guys if there's any external scholarships. We do extensive research on these because many times the external scholarships, although they may say they're for medical students, they will be specific to allopath and osteopath students. And so I take it a step further to contact the organization and just making sure that ND students are eligible. So again, that is something that we'll do and do our homework before we even disclose that information with you guys. Okay. Financial aid process. So one thing that we try to do is send out email communications to the incoming class, and a lot of this information, you'll see it. Making sure that if you're interested in federal student aid, that you're filling out 3 pieces of documentation. These documents are required in order for us to do our process. So first and foremost is your FAFSA, right? We will not be able to determine Title IV eligibility if we don't have your FAFSA. What we're looking for is making sure that you're a US citizen or US permanent resident and you're not in default with prior federal student loans. Many times, if students are aware that there may be some challenges, some issues with prior financial aid, they'll contact us right away and we can take a look at it and then provide further guidance if need be. But otherwise, if everything's good and you've always done a FAFSA or maybe it's your first time, this is going to be the main document to determine Title IV aid. So if we don't have it, you will not receive financial aid. Kind of a couple of things to take note of: your grade level. Please make sure you're listing yourself as graduate professional student. Otherwise, we will be limited on the amount of aid that we can offer you. The other thing is, I want you guys to utilize your the IRS data retrieval tool. So the FAFSA will require the past 2 years of income information. So for example, if you're matriculating spring 2022, you would be filling out the 21-22 FAFSA with 2019 taxes. If you're coming in fall 2022, the 22-23 FAFSA with 2020 taxes. The IRS data retrieval tool is really neat because you literally transfer your tax data onto the FAFSA. So it's less manual work that you have to do. No parents' information. Your graduate professional students, I don't want your parents' information. It does not make any difference on the aid that we're offering you. And then the school code. If you don't list SCNM, we will not get your FAFSA. So please make sure you're listing the school code. The next thing is if you're applying for federal student loans, your master promissory note, that is your contract to your rights and responsibilities as a borrower. So the minute you sign that and you take out a loan, you promise the Department of Education to pay back that student loan, okay? And then last but not least, the direct Stafford loan entrance counseling. The best way I can explain this document, it's an online tutorial that will walk you through federal student aid. The master promissory note and entrance counseling, you typically only have to do it once upon entry unless the form expires, and we'll let you know if that happens. But the only document really that we require every single year is the FAFSA. So make sure that your FSA ID is in a safe spot so that you can access your FAFSA every single year. I have placed on here priority submission dates. So again, this is just a priority submission date. It's not a final deadline. The sooner we get the FAFSA, the better, because this way, if there's any discrepancies, anything that are, I should say, if there's additional documentations that we need from you, we have ample time to request that and make sure that everything's good to go for the start of the quarter. Okay.
And a real quick, one question that popped up a little bit back. Can you qualify for scholarships even if you are not needs-based? You might have addressed it, but if you could repeat that, please.
Yes. So again, we have a variety of scholarship opportunities. So merit, essay-based, and need-based. So say, for example, for whatever reason you didn't qualify for a need-based, you can apply for the merit-based scholarship or the essay-based, right? So you will have vast opportunities in terms of scholarships within every year. So just keep that in mind. And again, all the communications of scholarships will come through my office. So that's how you'll know what's available, when to apply, and what's needed. So I will break all of those details for you.
Good clarity too. One thing I want to touch on that she just said is those communications absolutely come from our financial aid department. One of the things that you will not be asked to do is contact us from an email outside of your SCNM account. Once you're enrolled, admitted to SCNM, and you're given an SCNM email account with us, that is our primary form of communication with you. And they're definitely phishing scams and sneaky scams to say, hey, we've got this cool job opportunity for you. And they'll say, contact us outside of SCNM, whatever, give us your bank info, like be very careful. The moment you see something, somebody saying, contact me outside of SCNM, stop right there, forward it to IT, forward it to me, forward it back to Anna. Literally, do not give out personal information, especially if they're trying to get a hold of you outside of SCNM.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say is once you matriculate, if you email us from a personal email, I will respond. Claudia will respond to say, thank you, we got your email. But our response, the lengthy response, will be sent to your SCNM email just for security purposes. So we'll acknowledge the email that came through, but we will respond to SCNM email, with whatever questions you have. So keep that in mind. And I will also say, this also goes for our alumni. Everybody gets emails that say, hey, you qualify for loan forgiveness, you qualify for this. Again, any questions, concerns, forward those emails to us and we can take a look at it and then let you know whether or not they're legit. So be very careful with those. All right, so federal aid for graduate students. So I'm not going to go in.
I'm so sorry. There was a few questions in the chat. So before we go too far, I want to just let's make sure we stay with these guys. That was scholarships. There was a question that came up. I think you just addressed it again. What was the early admission deadline for fall 22? If you can scroll back up a little bit, we saw those. We're looking at spring.
April 1st.
April 1. There we go.
Okay.
The next question I see, is the FAFSA only for American citizens or international as well?
So international students who are coming in with an F1 visa do not qualify. So the FAFSA is for US citizens or US permanent residents.
I do have a different financial aid packet or informational packet that I could send to any international candidates. So once again, if you want to send me a direct message and make that request, I'll email it. And way to go, you guys. You hammered me with those requests there. I was not expecting that great response. So good job.
We do have a packet for our international students. So yeah, for sure. I will make sure that gets to you. Whoever asked the question.
Thanks, Anna. The next one we've got, if I'm not taking out loans the first year, but if I want to apply for scholarships, should I still fill out a FAFSA?
Yes, because if there are scholarships that are need-based, I don't know what your need's gonna result in. So absolutely, just because you filled out a FAFSA does not mean we're gonna necessarily award you a loan. We will award you a loan if you tell us to award you a loan. And I will tell you right now, we do not disperse aid if you have requested not to receive aid. So the nice thing about being a small school is that, we know our students, and so we can really make sure that we award those that are requesting it or need it, and then not award those that have said, I don't want any student loans. And the other thing too is it's still good to fill out a FAFSA, because if you change your mind within the first academic year, and say now you want financial aid, let's say Q2, for example, we will already have your FAFSA in order to start that process instead of kind of delaying things because you have to do your FAFSA. So still fill out your FAFSA. It doesn't hurt you in any way to have it on file. Any other questions?
There's a couple.
Yeah, this is great. One quick note though, actually, sorry, I'm gonna scroll back down just a tiny bit. I think you have an error on the date there where it says the very last box.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my fault, just because, I deal with numbers that day in, day out. So no, this is December 1st, 2022 for April 2023. So I'll update that. Thank you.
You are human. Thank you, ma'am. Is that, hopefully, James, thank you for pointing that out to us. That's what you saw. If there was something different, definitely let us know.
Yes, please. Yeah. When you work with the numbers all the time, something's bound to be missed. So I apologize for that, but I will make that correction and make sure you get the right packet.
Thanks, Anna.
Okay,
There's another question in there. So I'm going to take this one. Is there a way to not get the extra money sent to your account, if that makes any sense?
Yep. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. So I will get to that. But yes, that is an excellent question. There is a way.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
Great, guys.
So with the federal aid for graduate students, again, I'm not going to go through this in detail because you guys can read. But let me just kind of touch up on some things and make this easier for you guys to understand. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys the cost of attendance in just a moment. If you're borrowing financial aid for tuition and fees, and this is for SCNM. Now, granted, I don't know what you guys are coming in with prior federal student loans. So, just kind of keep that in mind right now. But if you came to us and said, okay, am I going to need private student loans? Well, that's going to depend on what you're going to be borrowing aid for. So if you are borrowing financial aid to cover only tuition and fees, most likely, and I'm probably going to say about 85%, because there's a good chunk that maybe you're coming in with prior student loan debt from undergrad or prior graduate school. For the most part, the direct unsubsidized loans will cover that entire cost of tuition and fees, okay? The reason is because within an academic year, the annual limit for direct unsubsidized loans is $40,500, and the lifetime limit is $224,000, right? So again, as we look at the cost of attendance momentarily, you're going to see that these amounts will cover the full tuition and fees. But again, you're coming in with prior student loan debt, we're going to have to review those numbers on a quarterly basis to determine where you're at from the lifetime limit, okay? So that's one piece of it. However, if you're our student who says, most likely I'm going to need the full cost of attendance, so that means I need financial aid to cover tuition, fees, books, supplies, and living expenses, then I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be using direct unsubsidized loans and private educational loans. And that's because the cost of attendance for a 9-month academic year for financial aid purposes will exceed the annual limit of $40,500. So private student loans, you have graduate plus loans that are offered through the Department of Education. So I always think of these as cousins to the direct unsubsidized loans. And then you have private educational loans with any lender of your choice. There are many differences with these. One, it's the lender, right? You're going from the Department of Education to a private lender. Two, interest rates. So Department of Ed is going to have a slight higher interest rate than your private sector. Origination fee. This is the fee that the lender charges you every time you take out a new loan. That's not an option, right? So it's a federal loan, they're going to have an origination fee. Most private lenders do not have an origination fee. And then most importantly, their repayment benefits. Any federal loan will have income-driven plans and the public service loan forgiveness program. Private sectors will not. So this right here is something for you to know what's available to help you towards your educational and personal cost. One thing that we do with all of our students is we help you guys with a financial aid projection and a budget. So we also work really hard to build on our financial wellness program. And what that means is we sit down with students on a quarterly basis to, number one, assess your personal budget. A lot of the questions that we get is, hey, how can I minimize my private student loan amount, right? How can I minimize the amount of student loans that I borrow? I will be the first one to tell you, if you don't need the student loans, don't take them out. Please don't. Just avoid all that together. I want you guys to start being smart about how much am I borrowing? What is my monthly payment going to look like? Do I need this? What does my budget look like every month? So these are things that we're going to help you through. We're not just going to give you all of this and then wish you luck till, 4 years later. We're going to help you through this process every quarter. We're going to show you how much you're borrowing every quarter, how much you're borrowing every academic year, and at the end of the day, what your projection is for the entire program. We're going to help you with a budget. So I don't care if you're pro at budgets or you're just starting. Let's have this conversation, because again, I want to make sure that by the time you graduate, you are okay with the amount of student loans you have under your belt, right? That's what I want to get to. And most importantly, that you can afford your monthly payment and you're not defaulting on your student loans. So we're going to have this conversation ongoing. All right. So again, it's a lot of information to process right now, but I want to make sure you guys know what your options are in order to fund, again, that educational and personal cost. If you're coming to us to say, hey, I really want to know what opportunities I have in order to minimize my student loan amount, one of the things that we're going to encourage you is to participate in the Federal Work Study program. Federal Work Study is available to our U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents. You do have to fill out a FAFSA to determine eligibility and to determine need-based eligibility. So the FAFSA is a requirement. But the really nice thing is, if you're eligible, you can work on campus or remote, because a lot of us are doing remote work right now. And you can work in any area that we offer Federal Work Study. So that could be a tutor, a TA, maybe you want to work in the medical center or in the Neil Rudin Center, many, many opportunities. Federal Work Study is included in your cost of attendance, which means that cost of attendance will be covered by student loans and Federal Work Study. So you're essentially helping to reduce the overall student loans by the amount that you're awarded every quarter in Federal Work Study. And I will tell you that for a lot of our students, it's a win-win. They get the experience on campus, learning what they're studying, and then you're also helping to reduce your student loans. And like Jane said it earlier, because I started in financial aid being a Federal Work Study student, this is something that I'm always going to encourage you guys, because it's an amazing program that we offer. So information on positions, pay rates, all of that fun stuff will be provided to you quarterly via email. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. And then the one thing that I will say as a quarter one student, I will not approve Federal Work Study, because I want you to get into the program, get a sense of what your responsibilities are, kind of learn how to balance, personal life and your academics before you commit to a Federal Work Study job. So you will have the opportunity, but not in quarter one. So just FYI. VA benefits, another really good way to help reduce the overall student loan amount. So if you are a recipient of VA, I will encourage you to reach out to Pauline Capraletti. She's our associate registrar, and she's the certifying VA official for SCNM. So if you have questions, if you want to know more about this and you believe you have benefits or need to bring those benefits in, please connect with Pauline and she will be able to assist you. But with VA, a lot of our students will decline the student loans because they're getting VA. So again, another win-win to help decrease that student loan amount. Okay. All right. So let's jump into the cost of attendance. And I will say this because I've said this to all my students before. These are just numbers on a piece of paper, all right? This does not mean that you're going to graduate with this total amount. I want to be very clear on that before all of you guys kind of have this notion of, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? All of this is variable. Numbers can change every quarter. I tell that to my students all the time. It can change every quarter, right? If we're doing a budget, if we're looking at your financial aid projection, all of this can change and the end result may be very different from what I'm presenting. So cost of attendance for the 21-22 award year, we have not confirmed anything for 22-23 yet. But for this current award year, tuition is $365 a credit. The ND program requires you to complete 390 credits, regardless if you're in the 4-year or 5-year curriculum, okay? So let me just try to see if I can minimize this. Let me know if you guys can't see this, if it's too small, because I want to make sure you guys can see both tables simultaneously. So cost of attendance, as I mentioned before, that includes your tuition, institutional fees, origination fees, we do include those, your books, and living expenses, optional. You don't have to take that out. So tuition for the 4-year and 5-year curriculum is exactly the same. Again, you're fulfilling 390 credits total. And if I multiply that by 365, there is your total tuition. Institutional fees, you're going to have quarterly fees. You're going to have course related fees. So that's already included in that. The origination fee, if you're taking out financial aid, we do include this origination fee, which is that fee that I mentioned earlier that the federal loans have. We will include that into your package to be part of the whole calculation. And then last but not least, your living expenses. So let me break this down. Currently, our cost of attendance allows you to take out money for all these components. Every quarter, financial aid is processed and dispersed. And after tuition fees are applied, the refund, the maximum refund that students may receive for books and living costs per quarter is $9,000. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit in for a sec. $9,000 for 11 weeks of instructional time and 2 weeks of break. 13 weeks total for $9,000, okay? That is the maximum we can award you. That is what the cost of attendance is currently, and that's what was approved. So that's the maximum we can award you. Your responsibility is several things. Number one, do I need that full amount every quarter? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't need any of it. Maybe I need a portion of it, or I need all of it, right? That is something you're going to have to decide based on your personal budget. The other thing is, if I need that full amount, right? Okay, what do I have to do, right? And we go back to, I'm going to need the direct unsubsidized loans, and I'm going to need private student loans. So we can start as early as now to have that conversation and make sure that you are good to go with understanding the terms and conditions of these loans, right? Every quarter, you'll have to assess what you need. And if we need to make changes, then we make changes. If you're opting to take out any amount for living expenses, you have the responsibility to budget that money. I can't stress that enough. We know, and I'm going to say this because I've said this before, we are not here to tell you how to live, what to spend on, but we're here to guide you and provide support to say, hey, if this is all the money that we can offer you, and this is your sole source of income, you really want to make sure that you are budgeting as best as you can. And that means, what's my rent? What's my food intake? What's transportation expenses? Any other expenses that you may have on a monthly basis. I will say to you, because I've been here for a little over 15 years, and so I've seen a lot of students, helped out a lot of students with their budget. I'm going to do a little pop quiz. Can anyone tell me what they believe is the biggest expense our students make? Anyone?
Food?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Food is the #1 expense. Do you want to guess why? Whoever answered that?
Because we go
they
out.
didn't budget?
Because what?
Because they didn't budget? No.
That's one part of it. Any other guesses?
Because
eat out a
people
lot?
rather eat out
Yes.
than actually eat inside.
That's exactly it. Absolutely. So I have students who will come to me and say, hey, Anna, I don't know where my money's going. I have no idea where I spend, hypothetically, say $2,000. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at it. And I come to realize, because my students share stuff and I ask a lot of questions, they'll say, oh, well, I went grocery shopping, but it was a really tough week. And I ate out the entire week. And then I got coffee. Oh, and then I went to the medicinary and I got snacks. Okay, so now we have a problem, right? So now it's really trying to change our mindset of what we're doing. And so I always tell my students, hey, let's try a couple of things. Again, this is not to tell you how to do things, but let's try a couple of things. Can you go to Costco and maybe buy in bulk items the snacks you're buying at the medicinary? Can you maybe buy yourself a really fancy coffee machine, right? Maybe the coffee you really love and make it at home. Or meal prep. Some students have never done meal prep, right? So these are the things that we're going to ask you questions on and try to assist you as best as we can. But at the end of the day, this is your money, right? You have to manage it as best as you can. One thing I tell my students all the time is if you run out, we cannot give you more money until the next quarter. So it is so important that you guys budget, all right? And again, to answer the question we had earlier, if you don't need and don't want the refund, let us know. And we'll make sure to just award you for tuition and fees if that's what you want. We have students who will say, hey, you know what? I want to pay half of my tuition and fees. Can I get the other half through financial aid? Absolutely, we can do that as well. So a big thing you'll notice from our department is communication is key. As long as you let us know what's going on, we can go ahead and try to make changes, okay? So just have that communication and feel comfortable with us because this is what we do day in and day out. So trust us, you're not the only student who has gone through this process or who has questions in terms of, I've never done a budget, can you help me? Absolutely. So just something to think about. Again, these numbers are just assuming that you're taking out financial aid for all of the costs that we have displayed on here, okay? All right, so to end this piece of the presentation, we go into financial wellness, and I've been talking a lot about the budgets. I've been talking a lot about the financial aid projections and what we do to help you guys. This is so important to me. This is what allowed, or not allowed me, but what pretty much defined why I wanted to stay in financial aid. And it was really to be here to educate you guys as much as I could, to provide that financial wellness and not look at financial aid as, okay, well, you take out financial aid and go figure it out on your own, right? Or, you know, take out the maximum. Yeah, that's what it's for. No, that's not the conversations we're going to have. We're going to dig in deeper. And I always like to compare things. And my comparison after being at SCNM for a really long time is, as a future naturopath, you're always trying to find the root cause of the problem, right? In order to help your patients get better. Financial aid is no different. If you come to us to say, I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm scared of all of this, this overwhelms me, let's have a chat. Let's talk about why this overwhelms you. Let's find the root cause of this and hopefully get you to a point where you feel comfortable with the information and you feel comfortable with the amount that you're borrowing, okay? So with the financial wellness, you know, there will be conversations about repayment plans. I'm not going to go too into detail with this because it's a lot of information, but we will sit down with you to go over repayment plans. We will talk about, you know, what do you want to do after graduation? How much debt do we anticipate you graduating with? What options does the Department of Education have to make sure that you can afford your monthly payments? One of the beauties about being at SCNM for over 15 years is, just like Jody and Jane, we have gotten to know a lot of students who have graduated and now are successful alumni. And guess what? I still counsel alumni. I have been counseling alumni for so many years. I get alumni who graduated even before my time, and they're like, hey, can you still talk to me about these repayment plans? Absolutely. So our door is always open. I tell alumni, until you tell me that you've paid off your student loan amount, then we really don't have anything else to talk about other than, you know, your family and where your professional career. But if you have student loans, let's continue to have that chat because things continue to change with the Department of Ed. So I want to make sure that you guys have all the resources, have all the data that you need in order to make the best decision for you. So with that said, again, I'm not going to go in too much into detail with these, but there are programs available to you guys. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program that is available for those that decide to work at a nonprofit, a 501c3, with the IRS or with the federal government. And so if your employer qualifies and after making 120 monthly payments on your student loans, your loans will be forgiven. So it is a great opportunity if you decide to go this route. So yeah, so a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources, and hopefully this was helpful. And at this point, I'll open it up for questions.
Very helpful. Yeah, absolutely, Anna, always. And we've got a couple more questions in the chat. I want to back up a little tiny bit. A question came, can you send us the sheet that you're reading off of? And I think I emailed that to the person, but the next question says, is there a specific place I can get a copy of this information for my records? And I wasn't sure if like students, do they have access to their own loans or records that are out there right now?
Yeah, so if you, in terms of your student loan information, if you go to studentaid.gov, sorry, the website has changed a few times, studentaid.gov, you will be able to see your loan history, anything that a prior lender has done or a prior school has done. It's all out there with the Department of Education. If you have private loans, then you would need to go directly through the lender to see your private loan information. Unfortunately, we can't see that information. So that would be a little bit more of a work process for you to research and look through.
Okay, I'm pretty sure everybody that put their email address in the chat tonight, I got that packet out to you, but definitely, if not, let me know. I want to make sure you guys get this information. Even the international, I sent it out to one or two. So Anna, the next question I saw is the need-based. Is that off annual income or income that I will have when I start at school?
Nope. So I talked about earlier the your income from the IRS, right? So in this case, if you're coming in spring 2022, you're utilizing your 2019 income information. So what the Department of Education does is they will estimate your expected family contribution based on your income, any assets, dependencies, how many are in college, your household, all of this fun stuff. Marital status is also included. And they will calculate what's called an expected family contribution. And a lot of people think the EFC is what you have to pay towards your college education. It really is that secret number to let us know what you qualify. And I'm going to tell you right now that it matters more in the undergraduate world because undergrads get Pell Grants. And so because grants are dependent on this EFC, that's where it matters the most. Graduate level is a little different. The EFC, really, I'm only looking at it when you apply for federal work study or any scholarships. And so if your EFC is below a threshold, basically, then you qualify for need. And that is, again, something that I can share with you one-on-one to let you know whether or not you qualify for need. So that's where that number comes from.
I guess that was my question. I was just asking because, once I start school, I'm only going to work 1 day a week. And, I'm coming from being an RN making money to absolutely nothing, basically. So I was like, my need is completely different after school starts. So I didn't know if that was kind of taken into effect.
Yep. So when you come in, right, obviously it's based on last year's need. I always tell students when you fill out the FAFSA once again with different tax information, then that need is that EFC may change, right? If your income has changed, we can look at your EFC and just kind of see if there were any changes within that year or what occurred. Again, just kind of depending on when the student has started the program. And we can determine if changes are needed, right, to the EFC. But I would rather have that conversation one-on-one when I see your FAFSA and then kind of determine what you're aiming for to then determine is there a need for an EFC change, right? But we can go into those details later if need be.
So I think what I want to clarify then where we're going is, and you probably did say this, but let's repeat it. Students fill out the FAFSA every year. They're refilling out that FAFSA. So that's why that income changes. When they fill out the FAFSA after they've been enrolled here for 3 years, that income, are they listing student loans as their income? Is that what that looks like later on?
Oh, no.
Right,
No,
okay.
student loans is not an income. So no.
So
And eventually when you go into repayment, the interest that you pay in your student loans will be reported to the IRS, right? But your student loans will not be reflected as income. So
That's neat. Okay.
that, yeah, I want to be very
Calculated towards
clear on that.
Eric asked, is there time to cook when you are in school? Jody, you want to take that one?
I would say you're gonna make time to cook. Right, Anna, instead of eating out all the time. So yes, you guys will have your, your personal time. And yes, our students don't starve. They definitely, a lot of them do cook at home and meal plan, like Anna had said. So, there's just some that like to eat out.
I will say that students will get super creative. They will freeze food, right? They will freeze fruits and veggies and cook on Sundays, maybe Sunday, right? Is the day that you're cooking and preparing everything. Again, we're not here to tell you guys how to live. You guys are adults, right? I'm not going to play this mom role. I have 2 kids and that's all I have, right? I don't have 400, 500 kids. So you guys are adults. Use your best judgment. The one thing I will say, and this is something we say to our students, if you run out of money and need more, just know we can't just give you more, right? That's not how this works. So budget, plan ahead. Really, even, if you are that person that says, I like to treat myself, say every week and a half to a nice dinner, treat yourself, right? But just be aware of what treating yourself means. I've had students who are like, well, we went out and I bought everybody drinks. Well, why would you do that? Like, don't do that. Like, I know you're trying to be super friendly, but don't do that, right? Like, just kind of be conservative, or not conservative, I shouldn't say that. Create a balance for yourself, all right? And just as you go through each quarter, assess what can be done and what can't be done. And then I will tell you, and I know Jane and Jody know this, but every quarter may change. It may be different for you. So maybe what you did one quarter is not working, so you'll change it for the next quarter. And that is just part of this whole experience. So just do what works best for you, but know that these are student loans. We have regulations, and know that I just can't deposit any amount in your bank account at any time. So
You're not just printing it up and behind your desk there, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
The next question says, this program costs $200,000 and the average salary is only $80K per year. In the example, is that what you showed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's backtrack and make it very clear. So the program does not cost $200,000, right?
Good point.
The tuition and fees is less than $150,000. I want to make that very clear. If you choose to take out student loans for living expenses, then the reality is that your debt may be a little bit over $200,000, maybe $250,000, depending if you're coming in with undergraduate debt. So I'm going to say this because, again, we've worked with so many alumni. As a future ND, you have endless possibilities. We have students who open up their own practice. We have students or alumni, I should call, I'm sorry, alumni who work with other physicians. We have alumni who travel around the world and offer their services, maybe through Zoom, right? They're giving classes. We have alumni who, I can think of one right now who I cherish very much every time I see him, and it's so good to see him, who has a mobile clinic. Decided early on, you know what, I want to do my own little mobile clinic, don't know where to start. Started little by little, saved up money, and he now has a very successful mobile clinic and is doing phenomenal, right? You will put your limit of how much you want to make. You're a doctor. You're gonna be a doctor. You put that limit. So don't think that, oh, well, this says 80,000. That's an average starting off. That's an average of, if, I go to the director or the career services manager to say, what's my average after year 1, year 2 of alumni making, that's probably a number she's going to give me. But you've now graduated 5, 6, 7 years later. You may come back to me to say, hey, Anna, guess what? I'm doing phenomenal. I'm making close to $200,000, right? We have alumni who have and are doing a little bit of everything, depending on what they're interested in. Again, I communicate with alumni all the time. We have alumni overseas, and she will do her videos and we'll talk about everything and anything, and she'll write books and make income from that. So don't think that you have a limit as to what you can do as a future physician. So that income is really going to be up to you.
Well said. I mean, truly, yeah.
Yeah.
Your success. You guys are great. There's still a ton of questions. I'm so sorry. Let's keep going. And there's actually other advice. So for everybody on the line, scroll through those chats. There's some fun things in here. There's a link on potential free textbooks. Dee Spiller talks about multitasking. I love the advice you guys are sharing with each other. Good stuff. Anna, quick question. Are there federal grants available to us, or is that only for undergrad?
That is only for undergrad. SCNM, again, it's a graduate only school. We do not get any grants. We do not get any state assistantship. We are a nonprofit organization. So we are not a traditional university. So unfortunately, no grants.
When can we begin to have financial aid wellness chats? When is the best time to do so?
Now. No, I'm serious. I mean, if you guys email Claudia and I, and eventually you'll start connecting with Daniel as well. Now, right? We come and talk to us. Let's kind of figure out what's going on. Obviously, we're not going to know every answer, right? So especially for those that may be moving to Arizona, right? Eventually and stuff, as you guys are matriculating and whatnot, we're not going to have all the answers right away. So it's not uncommon for us to tell our students, you know what, let's do a follow-up. You know what, you've shared with me that there may be these potential changes. Let's do a follow-up. Let's meet next quarter. Let's meet in 2 weeks, kind of see how things are going. We don't have deadlines. So just because we met with you today does not mean that that's it, right? We're going to continuously have these conversations. I don't care how often you meet with us. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, or it could be, you know what, I only need to see you once an academic year. Perfect. So yeah, so how early you guys want to start having these discussions, our doors are open.
Everybody that I sent that packet to, the contact information is on the bottom of the pages there. And as Anna started out, if your last names begin with the letters A through L, look for Claudia Rangel's information. And if your last names begin with the letters M through Z, look for Daniel. And if you're not sure, Jody.
Yeah, just a reminder, I will be with Daniel, so you'll see me, of course, but yeah, so eventually that I will kind of pull myself out of that, but for now I will be involved in all the counselings that Daniel will take over. So
perfect.
I just wanted to add one more
ahead.
thing in regards to the budget really quick. So I totally spaced out. So we also partner with financial advisors. Taylor and Andy Thompson from Thompson Financial Group. We have partnered with them. We're going on our 3rd year, Claudia, I think 3 years is correct. They are phenomenal. They don't charge current students or alumni for anything. So they are financial advisors. They are local here in Gilbert. They are licensed in many states. But if you're an SCNM student, they will help you with everything Claudia, Daniel, and I cannot. So in other words, any personal money, so stocks, investments, I have some savings. What do I do with this? I have maybe a 401k. What do I do with it? Or I'm interested in opening up my own practice. What do I do with an LLC? How do I go through an IRS with that? Taylor and Andy are there for you. And so we'll have webinars throughout the years for you guys, or throughout the year, where we will bring Taylor and Andy to talk about personal and professional finances. So that is out of our realm of expertise, just as they don't counsel on financial aid, right? So we make sure we have that separation. But Taylor and Andy are a really good asset to have, because again, we don't have all the answers. So they'll be there available to you guys free of charge. So
that's great.
Done. Take advantage of it if you see those, for sure.
Thank you for throwing out there. Aaliyah Hagan had asked something about that in the chat, so that's great that you added that. The 501c3, as far as working, is that something during school we can start to calculate those hours? Or is it only post grad?
Post-grad, you have to be in repayment and working for, well, I would say working full-time. I'm not going to say 40 hours because other nonprofits may be less. You have to be in repayment with your federal student loans and working full-time for 10 years. And after that time frame, they're done.
So did I hear Dr. Greathouse recently? And I'm sorry, guys, we are at 6 o'clock, so we are at time. Thank you very much for your time and your generosity. Because that just came up though, Dr. Greathouse, he's a current resident here. We had a chat with him 2 weeks ago and he mentioned working here, he's already working on that loan forgiveness because SCNM is a 501c3. Is that accurate?
Yes. So, yes. So if you are working at SCNM and you come to me to say, hey, I have federal student loans, do I qualify? I will have you fill out the application. You'll submit it to the Department of Ed, and those payments and the time you're working at SCNM, believe it or not, they qualify. So yeah, if I see you on campus as alum and as a physician, I'm going to pull you aside and say, hey, have you done this? And if you haven't, and even if, if you come to me to say, I just don't think I'll be here for 10 years, I don't care. Fill out the form, because if you decide later to maybe stay in a nonprofit, but not necessarily SCNM, the years that you put in at SCNM will follow you. So it's worth it, right? So don't lose that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you doing on time, Miss Anna? We still have several more questions, or do we?
I'm okay. I will say to Daniel and Claudia, if you guys have to excuse yourself, please do so, but I'm okay with time. So I'm okay staying on, as long as everybody, still needs to have their questions answered. I'm okay with that. What else?
Let's see, where did I leave off? I think you touched on there's no deadlines when you can apply. So even after you've started your quarter, you realize, oh gosh, I need some money. Can someone still apply for tuition or federal aid in the first quarter?
Yeah. So that's a really good question and something we get a lot. So let's say that, let's say quarter one starts and you're like, no, I don't need money for living costs. I'm good. I have a little bit of savings. Two important things. Number one, let's talk about your savings, because every time a student says to us, I'm going to use my savings towards living cost or tuition, I always kind of get a little worried, right? Because I want to make sure that you're utilizing your savings accurately and you're not jeopardizing that side. And number two, if you decided I'm going to decline my living expenses, but now it's week 4 of the quarter and oh my gosh, I miscalculated, I didn't do this well and I need financial aid for living costs, we can award you the amount that you did not request, as long as it doesn't exceed the cost of attendance. And vice versa, if you took out loan for living expenses and you realize, oh, I really didn't need this, connect with us. We can send it back to the Department of Ed as long as we're within the quarter. So again, we are not tied to anything. This doesn't mean everything's set in stone. Let's have a chat. Let's see what we can do. But I would say within that quarter, definitely connect with us so we can make sure that we're helping you through this process in a timely manner.
Super feedback. I lost my chat window. The next question was something to do with EFC, and now I can't find my chat window.
You can't find it, Jane?
Let me try to get in there, Jane.
Nope, found it. Here we go.
Okay.
Like you, I had too many windows open suddenly. Does the EFC have to do with the Title IV aid?
So the EFC is automatically processed on your FAFSA. Direct unsubsidized loans and direct plus loans do not rely on the EFC because they're non-need based. But if you're applying for federal work study or need-based scholarships, that EFC is going to be important, right? So for federal work study, I'm going to say yes, it's tied to Title IV, but it's not necessarily tied to unsubsidized and graduate plus loans, even though those are Title IV. So I hope that answers that question, if that makes any sense.
Hopefully.
If not, just send us an email and I can.
Yeah,
I can
Kaylee, if you need more
further.
information, please let us know. Aaliyah, we did kind of mention we do have financial advisors. If you want their contact information, we'll happily get that over to you. Leah, though, I did not understand your next point. I'm super interested in that. Anyway, you can connect me with the alumni to chat about creative ways to practice. So again, Leah, go ahead.
Sorry, I had commented that back when we were talking about alumni and their different ways of practicing, like the mobile clinic. Super interested in that. So sorry, that was a off timing on my part.
No, that's good. So our career services manager, Debbie Taylor, she could speak more to that, right? Because she works with alumni and students who are ready to graduate. Allie Holman, she's our alumni relations coordinator who can also speak regarding alumni. Yeah, our alumni have done, a little bit of everything. Like I can't even say, maybe Allie or Debbie have that information, but I can't even say like what's kind of the norm, right? It really just depends on that alum and their experiences and what they want to do. And I will say to you that can also change. I had an alum call me not that long ago and said, you know what? I don't want my own practice anymore. It's just not working for me. I'm not interested in anymore. I want to work with others, and my income's going to change. And so we discussed how that income may impact the repayment plans. So even if you think you're headed one way, maybe just life situations will change that. We've had other alumni who decided, you know what, I want to travel the world and offer retreats. Wellness retreats.
Right.
Wow,
right.
that's awesome. We had one alum who was doing wellness retreats in Costa Rica. I remember she's like, Anna, you should come to these. I'm like, yeah, well, let me budget for that. But she was doing these wellness retreats and they were phenomenal, right? So again, it just depends on what you want to do. And I will say to you, don't think you have to have all your answers by graduation. Don't even stress yourself with that. Like there's so much more journey that you're going to travel through. So learn from those that, you're going to be shadowing, you're going to be learning from in your classrooms, whatever the case may be, and pick their brain, right? Just ask them questions. What have you done? How have you done this? What would you recommend? What would you have done differently? And go from there. So everybody's journey is going to be different, but don't feel like you have to have everything ready by the time graduation comes. So just pace yourself.
Good stuff. All right. One last reminder, if I've submitted all the documents required for financial aid, when will I know I'm eligible for scholarships?
Good
Anything else to be
question.
applying for?
Good question. So right now, if you're starting spring 2022, Claudia and Daniel are underway with packaging. They're checking documentations. They're awarding financial aid. So that is underway. I know Claudia has been working really hard to make sure she's getting those offer letters out to you guys. For fall 2022, though, we have not started the process. So there's a couple of things. Number one, the cost of attendance for next year is not finalized. We need that to be finalized. And number two, it's still really long ways ahead, right? So we're working with our spring students. And so once spring is done and we got everybody good to go, then we'll proceed with our fall. So just know it's in the works, and Claudia and Daniel, of course, eventually will be communicating with you guys with your offer letter and instructions on the next step. So I promise you guys, you will get that information as well as scholarships. That'll come directly from me. So I will let you guys know what opportunities become available.
One more thing popped in.
Yeah.
Taylor's mentioned the festival won't let her continue without one of my parents' financial situations. Is that a mistake? We heard you say that was unnecessary.
So make sure that you are listing your grade level as graduate professional. The first level, I forget the question, but first level should be first graduate professional grade or level, however they call it. You want to make sure that when it says if you're a graduate student, yes, I am. And then where it says, I'm drawing blanks here right now. I think that was it. Clint, am I missing one?
If they've completed their bachelor's by July.
Oh,
1st.
yes, thank you. So where it says if you've completed your bachelor's, definitely say yes, please. That may be some of the triggers of why it will require you to put in your parents' information. If you're still getting an error, send Claudia and I a screenshot of what you see, and then we can maybe do a Teams call or Zoom call, and we can share our screen and kind of see what's going on. So, that way we can dig a little bit deeper to see why you're getting that, that request. But no, we don't need parents' information. Don't need it, don't want it. What else, Jane?
I think we've made it to the bottom of the list here. You are incredible. Thank you so much, Anna, for this great information and the generosity of your time. I really appreciate you sticking around for extra 10 minutes to get these questions answered too. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all. Thank you, Claudia, for being here. And again, please reach out, guys. We don't care how early, please reach out, and we look forward to working with you guys in the near future. So thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Thank you. Thank you.
thanks, everybody. All right, 2 weeks, couple more hot topics to go before spring starts. We'll see you all
Yes,
soon.
ma'am.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, guys.